Tavach, everybody. Welcome. Sunday. All right. So we were explaining the Tachlis, the purpose of the creation, in different ways and according to different people. So we started with Yedias Hashem, that the purpose of creation is knowledge of Hashem, and therefore, if knowledge of Hashem, how do you get there? How do you reach knowledge of Hashem? Is by learning Torah, by doing mitzvos, and by gaining and working on your mind, refining your intellect. And therefore the ultimate reward, the ultimate realization of this purpose of creation is in Olam Habah, not Yemos HaMoshiach. And what's Yemos HaMoshiach? Yemos HaMoshiach is where there is the ability to sit, spend time in a calm way without any distractions, to learn Torah and to do mitzvahs properly, so that you can properly earn the reward that is in Olam Habah. So Yemos HaMoshiach is sort of like a vehicle to really bring to basically it's a bubble that gives you the ability to properly do the things that you need to do in order to then go into Olam Habah. Then we explained that the purpose of creation is the revelation of Hashem's kingship. The revelation of Hashem's kingship is essentially that it expresses itself in the fulfillment of the 613 commandments, and for the Goyim, it's the 7 mitzvos b'nei Noach. And by doing all of that, by fulfilling the Torah mitzvahs, you cause the revelation of Hashem's kingship. And when you do it in a way of baal, Kabbolas Ol, to accept the yoke of Hashem in a way as a servant, then you are doing that. And therefore, Yemos HaMoshiach is a thing for itself, meaning it's a goal on itself. The goal is Yemos HaMoshiach. Why is the goal Yemos HaMoshiach? Because in the days of Mashiach, you're going to have a king who is going to compel people to go in the way of Torah and to fulfill the mitzvahs and to basically fulfill the commands and the decrees of Hashem as king. And so that is the connection between, and that's the whole process relating to the revelation of Hashem's kingship. And now we're going to go Tachlis HaBriah. So now we're going to talk about the purpose of those that work and the purpose of the habayis, the owner of the house. These two explanations that we explained, seemingly they are contradiction. What's the purpose? What's the completion of creation? Is a person that knows, that is a smart person, a wise person that knows Hashem. Tachlis Hisgalus Malchuso Yisbarech. According to the second explanation, what's the purpose of creation? The purpose of creation is revealing Hashem's kingship, which is through fulfilling mitzvos, His commandments, in a way of avodas eved, the avodah of a slave, a servant. According to the first explanation, Yemos HaMoshiach, we explained that Yemos HaMoshiach, according to the first explanation, is only the vehicle to get you to the ultimate knowledge, the true knowledge of Hashem, which is in Olam Habah. But according to the second explanation, the days of Mashiach, which is going to be that Hashem is going to rule over all the lands, is a thing on itself, and it's a goal on itself. Being that these two explanations, they are both part of the Torah of truth, which is one Torah. You cannot see them as arguing and opposite, contradictory. And more specifically, the Rambam himself says these two explanations. And you can't even think about the fact that there might be a contradiction in Rambam itself between one place in Rambam and another place in Rambam. Maybe we could possibly explain this in way of parable. What is this similar to? Yeah, there's an owner of a house that he hires workers to do some work, and he promises them reward for their work, payment. In the owner's mind, what's the main thing that he wants to happen? What's the main goal? The main goal is that whatever I hired them to do should be done. So if I hire them to redo my kitchen, for me, the habayis, the goal is that the kitchen should be done. And the reward that is given to the workers is a side thing. It's the vehicles from which to get to the perfection of a kitchen. What's the thought of the workers? For them, the main thing is, the goal is to make the money that they're going to get at the end of the work. And what is the malacha? The malacha is the vehicle for which to get the ultimate purpose, which is the money. In order to get money, I have to do the work. And for the habayis, in order for the work to get done, I have to give the money. So similarly, in the nimshal, we find Hisgalus Malchuso Yisbarech. The Chazal, they compared in a way of a parable, the Eibishter Hashem to a baal, to a owner of a house, and us, the owner of a house, and that Hashem hires workers. Elu Yisrael, which are the Yidden. Sheyas Melachim became a mitzvos, that they should do their work in fulfilling mitzvos. And Hashem promises a reward. Hine, mibchinasoi shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hamatari kiyom hamitzvah shel asmai. With regards to Hashem, Hashem is thinking that the goal is the fulfillment of the mitzvos in it of itself. Hisgalus Malchuso Yisbarech, that's through which will reveal Hashem's kingship in the world. Yemos HaMoshiach, which is the completion will be in Yemos HaMoshiach. A person which is requesting, which is asking for a reward and benefit to his avodah, he gives him true reward, which is the pleasure of the neshamas, Yedias Hashem Olam Habah, knowledge of Hashem in the life of the world to come, Olam Habah, which is Olam HaNeshamas. To a little further explanation. Divrei Rambam Manal, the words that we just of the Rambam, that the completion of creation is that when there's a person that knows Hashem, the Rambam is not saying that this is why Hashem created the world. Hashem created the world that people should know Hashem. The Rambam is explaining what is the completion, the ultimate completion, with regards to the world and the person. What can they accomplish? What is the ultimate that they can accomplish by themselves? And that is knowledge of Hashem. A person is striving for his own completion, for his own perfection. A person might think that what is his perfection, his personal perfection, is a physical perfection. With wealth, or with great strength, or beauty. So this comes the Rambam and explains what is the proper perfection for the person. It's not a physical shleimus. It's a general, it's a intellectual perfection of chachma. The Yedias Hashem, general chachma, and specifically knowledge of Hashem. And this makes him this now he's considered like a complete person. This is the ultimate pleasure, the greatest pleasure. For this type of perfection, it's fit to strive for. Being that the nature of a person in everything is to request a personal benefit for him. Even when he fulfills the mitzvos of Hashem, he looks for the personal benefit, and he basically depends the reward on it. The Rambam explains for him, yes, it's true. When you fulfill the mitzvahs, through fulfilling mitzvahs, you are going to have a very, very true and great benefit. Both in the essence of fulfilling the mitzvah, that brings to the person to fixing and a repair of their thoughts and their opinions, and also in the reward of the mitzvah, which is the knowledge of Hashem in Olam Habah. So in a similar vein, the Rambam explains with regards to Yemos HaMoshiach. A person also asks, what am I going to get from these days? Right, telling us to it's something that I have to wait for, I have to expect. This a big thing in my life, Yemos HaMoshiach. What's the personal benefit? What am I going to benefit? What am I going to gain from Yemos HaMoshiach? The Rambam explains. You're going to have a very big and true benefit. Sai in Yemos HaMoshiach itself. That is going to have time to deal and to work in Chachma. And furthermore, and mainly, you're going to get the true and greater knowledge of Hashem in Olam Habah. Beautiful, wow, great benefit. This is all in the perspective of a person who he's striving for a personal benefit, for a personal perfection. When you contemplate, when you meditate on the fact the world was created from nothing for the will of Hashem, and the question is asked, what does Hashem want from this creation? So what is the answer? Hashem wanted to be a king. Hisgalus Malchuso Yisbarech, that Hashem's rulership, Hashem's attribute of kingship, should be revealed al nivraim nifradim dafka, on separate creations. Kabbolas Ol, that they should accept the yoke of my kingship, v'yavdu oisei, and they would serve Hashem. So the goal of the mitzvahs is not the benefit and the perfection that it's going to reach a person. The very simple essence, fact that Hashem's will is going to manifest in the world. So also the true perfection of the mitzvahs in Yemos HaMoshiach, it's not the benefit of the person. It's the realization of the will of Hashem begiloi, in a revealed way, to reveal Hashem's kingship on everybody that is living here. Like the known nusach of the saying of the Rebbe Marash. This is the difference between the pleasures of the Creator and the pleasures of the creation. What's the pleasure of the created? Is the benefit, is benefiting from the ziv, hashchina, from the rays of the shchina in Olam Habah. What's the pleasure of the Creator? Is through fulfilling the mitzvos in this physical world. Azai mischal shmei agadol be'emer lahem am Hashem eila u'me'artze yatzu ve'achmel Hashem kachi. What is this? Yechezkel. All right. שחיללו בית ישראל בגויים אשר באו שמה לא למענכם אני עושה בית ישראל כי אם לשם קודשי אשר חיללתם וקידשתי את שמי הגדול המחול בגויים ולקחתי אתכם מן הגויים וידעו כי אני השם. לנו במפורש, it's very clear שהגאולה אין רק לתועלת בני ישראל. The redemption is not only for the benefit of the Yidden אלא גם ובעיקר that it's also and fundamentally l'kiddush me'agadol ba'olam, to sanctify Hashem's great name in the world, v'signon anal, and like we just said, Hisgalus Malchuso Yisbarech al kol ha'olam, to reveal Hashem's kingship in the entire world. Well, according to this, it's understood. Hachiluk ben divrei Rambam b'firish Mishnayos v'Hilchos Teshuvah l'dvar b'Hilchos Melachim. Now we can understand the difference between the two places that Rambam explains in Hilchos Teshuvah and Hilchos Melachim. Hilchos Teshuvah, in the halachos of Teshuvah, the Rambam the Rambam is dealing with the implications, the rewards, and the benefit that it reaches a person through fulfilling mitzvos. The Rambam explains there in length as the concept of schar v'onesh, reward and punishment. Gam as Yemos HaMoshiach, mevar sham, also the Yemos HaMoshiach that Rambam explains, be'oisef, in a similar way, umare, and he shows ma'i hatayelos sheyesh mihem la'adam, what benefit the person has, because that's what we're talking about right now. Shal yedei zehu megiya l'chai Olam Habah, this brings you to the life of the world to come. So that was in Hilchos Teshuvah. Now we go to Hilchos Melachim. Hilchos Melachim, in the laws of Melech HaMoshiach, the Rambam is talking about the Yemos HaMoshiach in its true form, by itself, as a thing in itself. The way it is in the kavanah of Hashem, the real true intent, it's the revelation of Hashem's kingship. This is something on itself, like we explained before. Now, we are going to describe Yemos HaMoshiach. What's the description? So, Ad Kan, until now, we went through Hilchos Teshuvah and Hilchos Melachim and they explained the Yemos HaMoshiach. So let's add a little bit. Let's add and let's give a little space to the words of the Rambam in Pirush HaMishnah in his introduction to the 10th parak of Sanhedrin. The Rambam explained in length the implication and what's going to happen in Yemos HaMoshiach, and the description of the situation in the world then. The Rambam Sham Olam Habah. The Rambam's intent is to explain the concept of Olam Habah that is mentioned in the Mishnah. Within his words, he points to the different opinions that seemingly confuse and put all together between Olam Habah and Gan Eden. And therefore, he sees the need to explain as mashal. He needs to basically divide them. Let's talk about each one for itself. And to explain the difference between all of them and Olam Habah. We find Baruch Hashem another place that the Rambam explains the concept of Mashiach. Now let's go into the Rambam's words. Yemos HaMoshiach, the days of Mashiach, is the time that the kingship of the Yidden will return, and the Yidden will return to Eretz Yisrael. That king will be very great. And his house of king of rulership in Tzion will greaten his name. And his mention, his memory, will be filled in the Goyim even more than Shlomo HaMelech. V'yashlimu oisei kol ha'umais, and all the nations will complete him. V'yavdu kol ha'aratzos, and all the lands will serve him. L'tzidkoi hagadol v'niflois u'leniflois sheyiyu al yadei, to his great righteousness and the great wonders that will be through him, that will come through him. V'chol mi sheyakum olav, and anybody that stands against him, Yavdu Hashem Yis'alav Yimser Oisei b'yadei. Nothing will change from what it is now. The kingship will return to the Jews. What's the great benefit that will be in those days? Will be found that in these days there will be great perfection, and we will merit to the life of the world to come. The Rambam goes through the 13 principles of fundamentals of faith. What's the lashon of the belief in Yemos HaMoshiach, in the coming of Mashiach? The 12th foundation, 12th fundamental, Yemos HaMoshiach, the days of Mashiach, who, and it is le'ha'amin v'le'emes v'le'ames sheyaveh v'lo yachshav she's acher, to believe in truth that he will come, and not to think that he will delay. If he tarries, we will wait for him. And you will not make understandings and explanations to take him out of the time that he has to come. And you have to believe that you will have a benefit and an advantage and honor over all the kings that were there forever. Like it was prophesied about him, all the prophets from Moshe to Malachi. Anybody that has chas v'shalom suffix or at all minimizes the milos of Melech HaMoshiach, kafar b'Torah, he is a kafir, a heretic. Sheyad boy b'Torah b'firish b'parshas Bilam, that the Torah testifies clearly in Parshas Bilam and Parshas Atam Nitzavim. Umichlal yisoid zeh she'ein Melech Yisrael el mibeis David mezer shleimus b'vad v'chol ha'choylek al ha'mishpacha azois kafar b'shem Hashem Yisbarech b'divrei nivav. Wow. Fine. So the way we were going until now, Nemer sheyesh kan shnei inyanim shonim. We could say that there's two different things. Tachlis dvarav bolivar is mahusam shlemes Mashiach shla'atzmam. So, in the beginning of his words, he comes to explain the mahus of Yemos HaMoshiach for themselves. Hainu kefi shehem mitzad kavanos shel Yisbarech, the way they are in the way they are intended to be. The way he approached the concept in the laws of Melech HaMoshiach. Over here he explains that what's the idea, the days of Yemos HaMoshiach, that the kingship will return to the Yidden. Basically, very, very similar to Shainis and explaining the same concept. And in the continuation of his words, if he adds Levar, the benefit of the person in the days of Mashiach. The great benefit that will be in those days. And he says, through the days of Mashiach, he will reach the ultimate, greatest perfection in the life of the world to come. Very similar to his words in Hilchos Teshuvah. When we go and we re-examine the words of the Rambam, so now we're going to try to see the difference between the words in the introduction to Pirush HaMishnah and the laws of Melech HaMoshiach. Hilchos Melachim Rambam Mazk. So number one, Hilchos Melachim, the Rambam mentions Bekitzer In very short, Mashiach machzir malchus David liyeshna, returns the kingship of David to its glory. Umarich, and he lengthens in explaining beprotios in detail as shleimus kiyum mitzvos sheyi al asid, the completion of the fulfillment of the mitzvos that will be. Mashiach boine hamikdash mekabes simcha Yisrael. Mashiach builds the Beis Hamikdash and ingathers the exiles. Shazai, then chayzin kol mishpatim b'yamim k'shayim mekaydem. All the laws return like they used to be. Makriv and karbanis, we can offer karbanis. V'oisin shmitin v'yovlos, that you could do shmitin and yovlos k'chol mitzvos v'atam, like all the mitzvos that is said in Torah. So that is in Hilchos Rambam, the Hilchos Melachim. Now we go to Pirush HaMishnah. The Rambam goes in length to explain beprotios in detail as Gdulas Malchuso Yisbarech. So in Hilchos Melachim, the Rambam says in short the fact that the Mashiach is going to be return the kingship to its former glory, and then he spends majority of time describing the fulfillment of mitzvahs, the perfection. So you can fulfill all the mitzvahs. And then in Pirush HaMishnah, the Rambam explains in length and in detail the greatness of the Malchus based on Melech HaMoshiach. The Einei Mazker Klaloid is being in Beis Hamikdash. The Rambam does not mention at all building the Beis Hamikdash. Hashiva la'aretz, returning to the land, v'hashlemus hamitzvos shetiyaz, and the completion of the mitzvahs that will be. So that's number one. That's the first distinction between the two. Then we have Hilchos Melachim. Number two, the Rambam Magdir Yemos HaMoshiach kachazar le'mei David v'shleimei. The Rambam defines the Yemos HaMoshiach a return of the days to the days of David and Shlomo. The Hachzer Machos David liyoshna lemimshal hal rishayna, to bring it back to what it was in the first rulership. V'chayzin kol mishpatim biyamav k'shayim mekaydem, and all the laws will return like they used to be. Basically, we're going backwards to the good old days. V'sulay, and that's it. Given shebe'oisam hayamim haisa Hisgalus Malchuso Yisbarech al Yisrael k'shemalchus David haisa b'shleimusa v'kiu mishpati ha'Torah haya b'shleimus. So that was the time when the kingship of Yisrael and the fulfillment of all the laws of Torah was b'shleimus. That is the best example, the best comparison that we can have to Yemos HaMoshiach. Is the old days, the good old days, as they say. But bepirush HaMishnah, royim b'divrei Rambam gishas hacharas, a different approach. Ki kanal harambam koisev sham v'negei l'Mashiach shezichra yiyeh malei hagoyim yoser min hamelech shleimei, more than melech shleimei. Yiyeh lo yisreinu maluk v'kovid al kol hamelachim shayim ha'olam, he will have more honor and more respect than all the kings that ever existed. Mashal came Hilchos Melachim. He didn't mention this. In the Hilchos Melachim, the Rambam kept on comparing them to David and comparing them to Shlomo. That is going to be, that is going to return the kingship, the kingdom, like it used to be, and the Shleimus is going to be like it used to be. But in Pirush HaMishnah, the Rambam is saying that it's going to be even better, even greater, even more respect. Number 3. In Hilchos Melachim, the Rambam writes, Al yale adat chosha Melech HaMoshiach tzarich lasis oisus umofsim oy mechadish dvarim ba'olam oy mechayim mesim. The Rambam says, do not let it come onto your mind that Melech HaMoshiach has to do miracles and great signs and make new things in the world and bring back the dead. All of these things, do not think. Ela olam kiminhago noyeg, the world will continue as is. Ula umazais. Bepirush HaMishnah, his kanal sheniflois yu al yodei. And in Pirush HaMishnah, the Rambam writes, the Rambam mentions that there's going to be wonders that will be done through Mashiach. So v'amna bepash, just move on. She'ein kavanase sheyu oz niflois hamishdodei, says chukei hateva. The Rambam is not saying that it's going to be wonders that are going to break the laws of nature, like bringing back the dead. The Rambam also writes that the essence will not change, the mitzvos will not change. The existence will not change. So what's seemingly the explanation of the Rambam? The intent is like he explained somewhere else. To miracles that are possible within nature, like the sudden hail and the locust that happened in Eretz Mitzrayim. That it could be explained that it's within the laws. The point isn't that the Rambam is saying in Perush HaMishnah that the Mashiach is going to make miracles like Tachlis HaMesim and all these things. No. It's the very simple fact that in Hilchos Melachim the Rambam says nothing. Don't expect anything from Mashiach. Olam Habah, it's going to be regular. And in Perush HaMishnah, seemingly it's contradictory that no, there is going to be wonders. You could expect miracles. That's number 3. Number 4. Hilchos Melachim Rambam medaber beikar al paulas Mashiach beinyanim hanoigim livnei Yisrael. The Rambam mainly talks about the effect that Mashiach has with regards to in things that affect the Jews. Building the Beis HaMikdash, everybody coming back to Eretz Yisrael, the laws of Torah coming back that we can do them. These are all things that affect the Jews and that have to do with the Jews themselves. Even when the Rambam speaks about Mashiach fighting the wars of Hashem, and winning them, the Rambam says this as the Rambam is saying that Mashiach is pashat fighting against the goyim, the nations that are holding you back and that are making it hard for you to fulfill Torah mitzvahs. It's pashat for you. And only at the end, the Rambam mentions Shemashiach Yitakin is the Olam Kulo Lavadis Hashem Yachad, that will fix the world, that everybody will serve Hashem together. Masha Ein Kain Beperush HaMishnah Shesham Yeshna Yarichas Shleima Benegelim Memshalusa Shel Mashiach Al Kol Omayis. There, the Rambam spends a lot of time talking about Mashiach's rulership over all the nations. There we go, another difference. So, these differences are connected. In the laws of Melech HaMashiach, the Rambam is explaining Mashiach, is describing Mashiach returning to the completion of the laws of Torah. This is it only applies to the Jews. And that's enough that you should have a king that is like the good old days, like David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech. You don't need more than that. You won't need great miracles. You can have no expectations. But now in Perush HaMishnah, he's describing Mashiach as a king over all the nations. That this he will be able to, it will achieve through making wonders. And that he will be greater and much greater than Shlomo HaMelech. So we have to understand this. Fine. Inyan will finish off with this. In the same thing. So the Rambam wrote a letter, famous letter in the Yedias Hashem, that with regards to the revelation of Mashiach, and many people like to point to that letter and essentially discount everything that the Rambam said previously. So we're going to talk about the difference between the words of the Rambam in Hilchos Melachim and in the letter that he sent. The Rambam describes Mashiach and his work, kanal, like we explained before, the Rambam also describes the way that Mashiach will be revealed in a natural progression of war and victory. A timeline that can last a specific amount of time, and until the end, it's possible to have a suffix, to have a doubt if he will be Mashiach. If this is the Mashiach. Kivan sheyesh boy gam makim l'chishlin v'hefsid, since there's the possibility for loss and for making a mistake. Over the Shayna, Yam bin Malach Beis David, Hilchos Hashem, Yemos HaMoshiach. So a king from the house of David will arise and he will wage war, the Hashem's war. If he did this and he won, and he succeeded and he won, he builds a Beis HaMikdash, and he ingathers all the Yidden, this is Mashiach Bevadai. If he does not win until now, or he's killed, we know that this is not the person that the Torah promised us. And in contrast to this, the Rambam describes the revelation of Mashiach in a sudden revelation. There will be a man that nobody knew before. The miracles and the signs that will be through him will be proofs to the truth of his claim. In the time of his revelation, all the kings in the lands will be all confused from hearing about it. They will be afraid, and they will all their kingships will be all upheavaled. Whatever it is, Yivalu, they will be confused from the miracles. Shiyeru al yada, they will see through his hand. V'yasimu yadam lefiyam, and they will put their hands in their mouths. Yamis kol mi sheyir tzala amise b'dvarav. Anybody that wants to kill him will die. And we will not be able to save ourselves from him. We'll continue. Similarly, we can explain. There's two levels in the implication of Mashiach, in the description of Mashiach, and there's two ways in the revelation. The Chazal say they can possibly happen in two ways. If they merit, it's going to be achishena, that it's going to be a sudden appearance. It's going to be at its set time, whenever it is. And similarly, if they merit, it's going to be in the clouds of heaven. If they do not merit, it's going to be a poor man riding on a donkey. It's going to be a natural redemption or a miraculous redemption. And the Rebbe explains on this that regardless, at the end of the day, the redemption is going to be with miracles. There's going to be miracles. Like the Rambam says, the Mashiach is going to show Pashut miracles. Hello. So what? So what's the difference? If they're going to be immediate with the revelation of Mashiach, it's going to merit with the clouds from heaven, or the revelation of Mashiach will be natural. As it goes on, there will go from level to level. Will merit the revelation of Mashiach in its greatest strength, which is above nature. Now he basically puts it all together. The Rambam is describing the revelation of Mashiach, the minimal according to halacha. He describes it in a way of lo zachu. When the work of Mashiach is done in a natural way, with one step by step. Ve'ilu be'geres Teiman, in the letter in Teiman u'metayres Hisgalus Mashiach b'derech shel zachu. The Rambam describes the revelation of Mashiach in a way of zachu that they merit. Hisgalus B'Seimis is going to be a sudden revelation, benisim and influence with miracles and wonders. It's possible to say also with regarding the difference between the laws, the Hilchos Melachim and the Pirush HaMishnah, like we explained, the four differences. In the if we're chas v'shalom in a state of loy zachu Malchus Mashiach, the kingship of Mashiach tia betchila kefi hamitur beHilchos Melachim Mashiach. First is going to be like it's described in Melachim Mashiach, in the laws of Melachim Mashiach. Chazara lemei David v'shleima v'sula. It's going to be a return to what was and nothing more. V'rak le'achar mikein. Only after Yalu Yisrael midarga ledarga, the Yidden will be going up one level after another until they reach the great, high, exalted level that is described in Pirush HaMishnah. But if we're talking about if the situation is of Zachu, we will reach we will have the description, the realization of the description in Pirush HaMishnah. Let's go a little deeper. It's possible to say Mishnah Torah in Yanei Safik Sefer. Mishnah Torah in Yanei Sefer Hamekabetz Hilchos Torah. Mishnah Torah is a compilation of the laws of Torah over Hilchos Melachim Shebesiyam Sefer and the laws of Melachim Mashiach in the end of the Sefer. Kavanas Yishal Rambam beIker. What's mainly the kavan of the Rambam? The intention is Loi Levair Ma'u Mashiach. He's not explaining to you what's Mashiach. To show you how all the laws of Torah that are written in Mishnah Torah will have a practical, a physical realization through Melech HaMashiach. And therefore, what's the main thing that the Rambam is describing over there? It's all with regards to the mitzvos, the completion of the mitzvos that will be in Yemos HaMoshiach. And he goes into details. Mashiach given a mikdash, and Mashiach is going to build a mikdash. Then you can offer all the karbanis. The Kabbolas Ol, and will bring all the Yidden together, the artists into the land of Israel. The then we can do Shemitah and Yovel, like all the mitzvahs that were written in Torah. According to the halacha, which is practical, you got to do stuff. To fulfill mitzvahs practically through Kabbolas Ol, Malchuso Yisbarech. And this is enough to have a king like David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech, that they have the power to compel the Yidden to accept upon themselves the kingship of Hashem, and to fulfill all of Hashem's mitzvahs. You don't need a king that is a higher level than David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech. So in the laws, in the Sefer, that the Rambam speaks about laws, the Rambam describes this Mashiach b'hashva David HaShlomo in the same equal footing. He does not feel that, he doesn't see the need to mention the great attributes of Mashiach that are going to be over David and Shlomo. Since the fulfillment of mitzvahs is possible completely to do in nature, naturally, you don't need great miracles that will take you away from the regular natural order. Like we saw in the days of David and Shlomo. They didn't need to do great miracles and great wonders and this and that and the other to fulfill Torah mitzvahs. So therefore, the Rambam didn't see the need to describe to you the great wonders that will be done through Mashiach. And on the contrary, he said the opposite canal. Do not even think that Mashiach needs to do it. Why? Because it's true. When it comes to fulfilling mitzvahs, to doing mitzvahs, you don't need great signs and great wonders. Like we will explain in Mr. Shem later on. Ach, befinish Mishnah Matarasu shel Rambam levaris hamusig shel Yemos HaMoshiach k'shel ha'atzmai ula'amitasei. But in Pirush Mishnah, the Rambam's goal was to describe to you Yemos HaMoshiach in itself and in its complete truth. V'lachein sham misakev al ikar inyan Hisgalus Malchuso Yisbarech. He hold himself back from explaining this, the essence of it. That the completion of mitzvos is only an outcome from the fact that Hashem's kingship will be revealed in the world through Melech HaMoshiach. And over there he explains the true mila, the true greatness of Mashiach over David and Shlomo. And he explains that there will be miracles that will go out of the regular nature. And like we'll explain it all in Perek Yud and on with the help of Hashem. So we will stop here because Baruch Hashem, we reached the 45-minute mark. I do not want to make it too long. And Mr. Hashem, we will continue tomorrow. Everybody have a good tavach, have a beautiful week, and obviously, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I highly suggest that when you subscribe, you hit the notification button because I'm not always going to remember to send out the link. So if you're subscribed and you have the notification bell, the app will notify you when I go live, and it's basically going to be every single day at 2:30. So have that in mind. 2:30 Pacific time, 5:30 770 time, and all the other times. If anybody would like to sponsor a class, more than welcome to. And I highly suggest everybody get the Sefer in Yonei Shel Mashiach. Very, very gishmak. If not, I will post the PDF link in the description. And everybody have a beautiful day. Yechia Adinenu Meninu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMoshiach LaOlam Vad. Good